Shalom, Apostle Star coming back at you with this truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Ukakwadash. And I'm going to entitle this GMS is in the news. And I was going to entitle it Israelites in the news. Anyway, this is a article. What I'll do is I'll leave the link in the description box so you can go to the actual site. Anyway, this is from No Sacred Cows. It says, I'll give you the headline. As you can see it on the screen, it says, religious hate group to women. If you talk back to men, God will kill you. Anyway, it says, in a terrifying video posted yesterday to YouTube, it's racist, which by the way, they're going to probably take it down. A racist group of religious extremists in Chicago claim the Messiah will come back and kill black women in masses. Yeah, well, the whole story is that the Messiah is going to come back and kill a whole lot of people in masses. So this guy decided to pick out the fact that he's going to kill women. He's going to kill more than women. All right. Anyway, I'm going to go to I'll go right to the scriptures. Okay, this is I'll go to Isaiah. I'll go to Isaiah 66. And 15. It says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, men, women, children, Edomite men, so-called white men, so-called black men, Israelite men, Hamitic men, East Indian men, Japhetic men, Chinese men, Moabites, Japanese men, Ammonites. It says, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Many men, many women, many children. Let's go to Ezekiel 9. And 4. And this is punishment upon Israelite men and Israelite women and children. It says, Ezekiel 9 verse 4, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. And by the way, the ones that were destroyed are mentioned in Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, because they were secretly bound down to other gods. And in the case of the so-called black women, as this individual calls them, they're actually Israelite women. Anyway, it says, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sign that cry for the all abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after. And by the way, that mark, the Hebrew word there is thawa, which means exempt from judgment. In other words, there's going to be a certain amount of people that's going to be exempt from judgment. So when the judgment comes by the hands of the Most High and the angels, these individuals won't be touched. And they mention men. It says, back in the fourth verse, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men, not the women, the men, because the elect of Israel are men. Now, are women going to be saved? Yes, they're going to be saved. The wives of these elect men. Are children going to be saved of these men? Yes, because they are of the elect. And if you're saved, your family will be saved with you. It said that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Fifth verse again. And to the others he said, mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids, which are women, and little children, and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, the Thawa, exempt from judgment. And began at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And like I said, this happened based upon what these wicked Israelites did in Ezekiel the 8th chapter. So now let's go back to the article. It says the group, which is identified as GMS Chicago, appears to be linked to the black Hebrew Israelites. This is a label that these devils put on us, black Hebrew Israelites, which we don't go around calling ourselves black Hebrew Israelites because we're not black. We're different shades of brown. But Esau wants to control the narrative, so he's going to label us, based upon his feelings. It says the group, which is identified as GMS Chicago, appears to be linked to the black Hebrew Israelites. The men are part of a militant black supremacy cult that believes African Americans, and that's another label that these devils gave us. They labeled us as African Americans. We never label ourselves as African Americans. Not Jews. Are God's true chosen people. Which, when you understand these scriptures, all the prophecies that point to Israel in the latter days point directly to us. And the problem with the so-called white man, which they don't want to admit or acknowledge that they're the Edomites, and based upon the fact that if they acknowledge or admit that they are the Edomites, then they would have to agree with everything that's spoken of about Edom in the scriptures. You have a lot of these Edomites teach that the Edomites were done away with. I'm talking about Obadiah 1 verse 18. The way for them to get out of it is, number one, they say they're not Edomites, number one. And they say, well, those Edomites in Obadiah 1 verse 18, that already took place. But they don't give you a date, and they don't give you a place. It says the belief system of extreme Hebrew Israelites is basically the reverse color mirror image of the Christian identity theology embraced by many white supremacists, which holds that mainstream Jews are the descendants of Satan and that white people are the chosen ones, divinely endowed by God with superior status over mud people. Now, if you're calling us mud people, you would have to call the Most High a mud person. You would have to call the Messiah, the Christ, a mud person. You would have to call the angels mud people. You would have to call the saints mud people, the prophets mud people, the children of Israel mud people. And when they mean by mud people, is so-called blacks, which if they understood the scriptures, they would come across the fact that Israelites are so-called black people. Let me go to a couple more scriptures. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, this is Exodus 4 verse 6. I might want to read a verse or two above that. I'll start right at the 6th verse. And the Lord said further unto him, Moses, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow, meaning his hand turned pale white. 7th verse, and he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. So if he put his hand in and pulled it out, it turned white. Then he put his hand back into his bosom, pulled it out, and it turned into his other flesh. What color had his hand had to be? It had to be a dark-skinned hand, something opposite of white. I have another scripture. See, the problem, these Edomites, they're deaf adders. I'm gonna read that too, and they hear what they want to hear. This is Numbers 12 and 10. And you can read the whole chapter, but I'm going to go right into the point, because this woman, and this is a perfect example of the Most High showing the love for the chosen men that he set up, that he cursed this woman, which is Moses' sister Miriam, for coming up against Moses, because she said that he was wrong for marrying the Ethiopian woman. So she opened up her mouth along with Aaron. But if you notice, as you read this this chapter, the Most High didn't curse Aaron; he cursed Moses' sister Miriam, because she was out of order being a woman. And in this society, they push this woman bullshit, that women are on top and women are better than men and women are equal to men. But when you go to the ancient world, men were always on top. And this is why this place is called spiritually Sodom and Egypt, and also Babylon. Okay, I'm going to go to the 10th verse. Like I said, read the whole chapter from the first verse to the 16th verse, the short chapter. It says, "And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam, Moses' sister, became leprous, white as snow." The Most High turned her into a white woman. So the Most High cursed her and turned her into a white woman. Now, if the Most High turned her into a white woman, what color was she before the Most High cursed her? It goes on to say, "And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, Alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us wherein we have done foolishly." Now, if you notice, the Most High did not curse Aaron because he was a man. The Most High cursed the woman because she was a woman, and women are supposed to be in subjection under the man. And where it goes on to say in 11th verse, "And wherein we have sinned." So what was their sin? Coming up against Moses, the man of the Most High. It goes on to say, "Let her not be as one dead." So if you look white, pasty, leprous, you look like a dead person, "of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he," going back to Esau, because Esau came out like that. He came out red all over like a red hairy garment. And they call his name Esau. Why? Because his skin, his pigment was wasted away. Let me read the 12th verse again. "Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed." Esau, Ishah, which is Ishashwa, means wasted away he. What was wasted away? His pigment, when he cometh out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried unto the Yahweh, saying, "Heal her now, O power, I beseech thee." Because that was a terrible curse that was put on Miriam. And even Moses got emotional. But going back to the first verse, Miriam came against Moses, the man of the Lord. So when these brothers and these elders say what they say, they're saying it based upon the Bible. And the Most High is ultimately going to kill a lot of these women and a lot of men, and he's going to destroy you Edomites. 14th verse, "And Yahweh said unto Moses, If her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that let her be received in again." Now, when you go to the laws on leprosy, leprosy of the scalp, leprosy of the skin, leprosy of a house, if someone's skin is leprous, the priest looks upon that leprosy, and that person is put out of the camp for 7 days. And then the Most High blesses that individual, and he comes back with his natural color. You have some cases where you have leprosy, and it's an unclean leprosy. Well, you got to put that person out the camp. So when these brothers of GMS Chicago said what they said, well, they said it based upon the scriptures. It goes on to say, the members in the video make it clear that they believe God has chosen men. Why did they believe that? Because it's in the Bible. They read the Bible. They read the Bible, the scriptures. Let's go back to Ezekiel. I believe it's 34, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 34. Ezekiel 34, verse 31 is a key point. I'm just looking at the above scripture, a 30th verse and a 29th verse. Yeah, I'll start at 30. No, you know what? I'll start at I'll start at 28. Ezekiel 34, verse 28. It says, "And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, the other nations, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid." And this is a good chapter to read from the first verse. Most High willing, I might do the whole chapter one day. It says in the 29th verse, "And I will raise up from them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore." Because the Most High is going to raise us up over you heathens. He's going to set up a kingdom. 30. "Thus shall they know that I am Yahweh, the Most High, and with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, saith Yahweh, the Most High." 31. "And ye my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your power, saith the Lord." Power. The word there is God. We say power. Okay, it says, "The members in the video make it clear that they believe God has chosen men." And I just read that in Ezekiel 34. And specifically, black Hebrew men. Now that's a fucking lie, because they don't call themselves black Hebrew men. This devil put that in there. To rule over women. No, they didn't say they might have said it in the video, but we're going to rule over you Edomites, man. To rule over women who should be subservient. And they are going to be subservient under us. The video is filled with sexist, that's your word, racist comments, mostly directed at black women. So this guy's not bringing out the whole truth. He hasn't stopped to see the other videos that we did. Okay, he says here in the article, next, a second man chimes in and says that some women say they believe in God but don't live up to his interpretation of the Bible. The main speaker interjects and points to 1 Timothy 2 verse 12. which says, "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to," and this is what the Apostle Paul said, "nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." So this devil that wrote this article is being biased. Anyway, I don't have to read no more of this, man. You know, you can read the rest of the article yourself. And there's so many scriptures that you can bring out to justify what these men have said. The men of Great Millstone in Chicago. But that's how this devil rolls, man. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom, and see you in the comment section of this video. Shalom.